Welcome to selfdiscoverywisdom.com, formerly known as Self-Discovery Media. On these podcasts, you're going to hear people who speak from the heart. They've taken the journey in life. Many things have happened to them, but they've changed it to happening for them. And in their strength, their courage, they've discovered their abilities and their wisdom, and they are now sharing it here with you. Do enjoy each show. We bring it to you with love and knowing that it's going to help you on your journey of life. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Building Your Business right here at selfdiscoverywisdom.com. I'm your host, Sarah Troy, and my wonderful guest is Dianne Crampton. We did a show way back in 2015. I cannot believe that it goes back that far. And we talked about the TIGERS amongst us. And she has reinvigorated the book, and we're going to be talking about that today in kind of a slightly different direction that she's going it with her business. That doesn't mean that all the wonderful wisdom that she shared in the past show is obsolete. So please do go back and listen to that, because there's a lot of wonderful nuggets to be added to. So she said that she started TIGERS because she wanted to understand what makes a group of people truly work well together. As a manager, she was discouraged about how much emphasis was placed on the individual achievement, while the potential of people collaborating with purpose was ignored. She always believes that employers aren't cost to be controlled. They are the real stakeholders in the organization's success. After all, we spend more of our waking hours at work with our more waking hours at work than with our families. And that should be something meaningful. So through the decades of research and 34 years of practice, she's proven that there is a much better way. When trust, independence, geniusness, empathy, risk resolution, and shared success guide how we work, teams achieve the extraordinary results, and people end their days feeling engaged, valued, and proud what they have built together. So as I said, she's been doing this for a long time, folks. So there's a mindful of information that we're going to pick out here today. Good to have you back here again, love. Welcome.
Well, thank you so much, Sarah. That's great seeing you too. It's
Yes.
amazing that 15 years you haven't aged a bit.
Good old Zoom link, right? Good thing. But yeah, 2015 is when we did the last one, and it's you were just as enthusiastic then as you are now. But I totally and utterly agree with you. There's been so much, and last year I put out a book, Our Forgotten Children, an anthology around the raising of our children, and one of the chapters there is that there's too much emphasis on high achievement, and not collaboration and cohesiveness. And then we mark somebody by, their grades or how popular they are, or this or that. And where do we reward people that come together and work as a team? I call it the orchestra. But you always need a good conductor with an orchestra to bring out the best musicians where they can work harmoniously together. And that's where a good manager comes in, isn't it?
Well, very much so. And, one of the things that we have, and we've been seeing this come online now for the last 5 years, and that's AI.
Yes.
Artificial intelligence, Sarah, I really believe is going to have a huge impact on organizations that we see today.
Yeah.
And is one of the reasons why I restructured what I'm restructuring. And with AI, they're talking about the flattening of organizations, which I've been talking about for 34 years. How do you operate with people who are smart? I don't think anybody will say that they go out to hire people who aren't brilliant. In fact, they want to find the most brilliant fit for their companies that they can. And as a result of that, maybe 90 days later, they're saying, oh gosh, we have such horrible employees. Well, employees don't become
Yeah.
horrible by their own device. Nobody
Yes.
wakes up in the morning and says, I'm going to be a class act
A
failure today.
BITCH today.
Yeah, I am going to be mean to people.
Right.
I am going to confuse them so I can come back and penalize them. People just don't operate that way
Yeah.
in a human system. But we have, if we look back to when, let's say, Henry Ford developed his first
Hmm.
automobile, he was looking at how do I treat my people so they treat my company well?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
somehow along the line, people who work for companies were considered costs.
Yes. Yes.
And as costs, they had to be controlled. They could be cut.
Mm.
Now, I'm not sure about Canada. Do you have at-will employment?
I really couldn't tell you. I don't
Okay.
know.
Well, in the US, we do have at-will employment, which means that the executive suite can make huge mistakes.
As is evident.
They can make huge mistakes. They can evaluate the uncontrollables incorrectly, and the way they deal with them is they just
Hmm.
cut people
Hmm.
and
Cut the fat, as they call it, right?
cut the fat,
Yeah.
and in the meantime, we have this growing disengagement of people,
Hmm.
this
Hmm.
growing burnout of people whose wages have not really increased, but profits and company
Hmm.
productivity has just soared. It's skyrocketed.
Yes.
So when we look at this AI piece, they've relied a lot on middle managers.
Hmm.
Well, as you flatten organizations, there's tiers of leadership that go away
Hmm.
as employees become more empowered. Well, you can operate, I think, fairly sloppily in an organization that we call command and control. I tell you what to do, you do it, and there's no questioning about it. That's
Or
it.
you're fired.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Whereas in more collaborative organizations that you were talking about, how we're taught in school with bell curves and high competition for for grades, that carries over.
Hmm.
And in a competitive marketplace, the transition to collaborative is almost like a new paradigm shift.
Yes.
And something that I really enjoyed early on was working with teams in Abbotsford and
Hmm.
Surrey.
Hmm. Hmm.
And what I noticed was in more of a warehouse manufacturing setting, the ability to question to understand was much higher than here
Hmm.
in the United States.
Hmm.
And I found that so refreshing
Yes.
because uh, those soft skills are what is going to be required through AI
Hmm.
because AI will be taking all the busy work.
Hmm.
They'll be doing the number crunching. They'll be doing projections. They can you supply the data and AI can write the report.
Hmm.
But what it can't do is human to human innovation.
Hmm.
It can't do human to human problem solving. It can apply, it can give you some facts and figures for decision making,
Yes.
but
It doesn't have the free will.
it doesn't have the free will and it
Mm.
doesn't have the gut instinct
Right. Yes.
that some of the most profound leaders that I have known in my total career have had incredible gut instincts.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
They listen to their heart as well as their mind.
Absolutely.
And and so it's it's this piece that has really driven me, Sarah, to look at what I suspect will be very high um, turnover
Hmm.
and release of employees from the workplace.
Hmm.
And there's many talented people that will be going with them.
Yeah.
So I sat back and I thought, okay, I've had a tremendous career. So how can I develop solutions that I've been doing for 34
Yeah,
years in a way that I know will make a huge financial difference inside organizations, but for consultants and coaches actually serve as a wonderful income generator for them.
yeah.
And so that's where I've been focusing my attention is taking everything I've done in flattening organizations
Hmm.
and making it
Reconstructing.
well, yeah, and very valuable for
Yeah,
everyone.
orchestrating it.
Yes.
Yes,
Well, it is
yes,
orchestrating
yes,
it.
yes.
And I think that we are at the crossroads of
Hmm.
very interesting times.
And when you look at the AI, it can be an invaluable assistant.
Yes.
And I actually interviewed AI a while back and had an incredible conversation for an hour and 20 minutes. It ended up with it kind of interviewing me, right? And it has its place, but
Mhm.
we've got to remember it is a tool. It is there to assist us. It can pick up your own algorithm, and it could be a sounding board. It can be something you want to try out. It could be something, I'm stuck on this. What am I missing? All of that type of thing that sometimes you don't want to take to other colleagues for the reason that you want to present it differently or they're too busy. And you can go to them with a more finished idea and then lay it on the table and say, okay, everybody, let's share the hat. What do other people think? And I think it's actually been proven, though you wouldn't see evident by the states right now, that those that choose to work together create deeper roots, stronger trunks, and branch out more successfully.
And have deeper relationships. And
Absolutely.
and and and
And
when we
seed
look
more opportunities.
well and seed so many
Yes.
good opportunities. And I have worked a lot in the development of cross-functional teams. And I see um, project managers as actually possibly being outstanding
Yeah.
managers in the new AI,
Hmm.
simply because much more is going to be project focused
Yep.
than just day-to-day
Exactly.
operations.
Right.
And I think that
More time for creativity, for
well,
innovation.
well, and having the environment where
Yeah.
creativity can thrive, Sarah. I
Right.
mean, when people are stressed, they
Yes.
downshift. There's
Yes.
not a
Absolutely.
creative idea that could come
No.
through in a situation where people are in fear,
Hmm.
they're stressed,
Hmm.
and they're on the process of burning out because
Yep.
they've been there every day creating these tremendous shifts in productivities for companies, and at the same time not experiencing that benefit for themselves. If
Feeling spat
anything,
out.
yes. Well, and if it ain't anything more, I mean,
Hmm.
costs are more.
Yeah.
It's like they're going down. They're not evolving
Yes.
up. They're going
Yeah.
down, and I want to be part of that movement that takes people and their organizations upward.
And the big word is movement, not just the movement of upgrading to more development, but when you actually allow people to come together on the same wavelength, in the same vibe tribe, where people feel, this is my algorithm, my people,
Mhm.
where you feel that you can share something, however ridiculous it is, then maybe have a good laugh, but then, hey, maybe there's something here, right? And where that person feels that they don't have to stay in the background for the fear of ridicule or somebody jumping down their throat. Where, how many people have put out the silliest of ideas. And then once everybody's had a good laugh and kind of looked at it, go, well, we may can't do that, but perhaps we can do this. And if you're allowing for that creativity to be there, and as you said, AI is taking care of the nitty gritty, right?
Yes,
Which is allowing people to come together and be innovative. And I always say inspirational begets invitational. And when you allow that inspiration to be free, imagine what invitation it is for people. And I kind of include the janitor in this, who
absolutely.
who sees and hears everything. everybody should feel free that they can participate with an idea without ridicule or being shot down or someone stealing it and
Ex-
dismissing them. So I think it's so that inclusivity is so important. And AI can do, as you said, the nitty gritty. It can also, you can throw ideas up to it. Hey, what do you think of that? Could it be possible? Let it be part of the team and the sounding board. But there's nothing going to replace the heart and soul of humanity.
well, and it when you're making a decision, when you can instruct it to go out and look at the pros and cons
Yes,
and
yes,
examples
yes.
and analyze the risk potential
Mm-hmm,
and what you might have not thought of yet,
mm-hmm.
it can come up with solutions that nobody has thought of. So I
Exactly.
think it can actually make your decision-making processes as a team better, because anytime your employees are part of creating something, they're more committed to it.
Yes,
And
their
as a reason,
baby.
it's their baby, and
Yeah.
and that's where being able to listen, to understand
Mm-hmm,
many of the soft skills that fortunately I was able to measure the impact of soft skills,
mm-hmm.
from day one, from the research I had done and then the
Yes.
validation work I had done. I could actually measure if you speak to people more uh, assertively and with respect. I had one case study where accidents came down in a large company
Yeah. Yeah.
because it seems that when people are treated with respect, they're spoken to with respect,
Yes.
their ideas are brought into the conversation, or feedback is transformational for them
Mm-hmm.
instead of punishing them.
Yeah.
They're they get sick and hurt less.
They're in the mix. They know what needs to be done to prevent, and they can speak to it. And if you hear them, it's something you can implement. And now you start seeing reduction of. Um, I've been in the restaurant business a lot of my life. My son is now in the restaurant business.
Mm-hmm.
I've owned and run restaurants, and
Mm-hmm.
it's all about customer service. It's good food, good atmosphere, good customer service. And when we were on, we were on. Everybody knew this is the channel we're in right now. We're serving. I don't want any blinkers. I want your eyes radar. What does that person need over there? A glass of water. It's very hard for me to go to a restaurant and see somebody trying to get attention of a server, and I just you want to say to the server, pay attention. But you teach them the skills, and when you work, right? Because rush hour, etc. But then afterwards, you decompress together, right?
Yes.
And that
Yes.
decompressing, God, what a rush hour, what a this and that, oh, that, this and that, etc. Decompress. Now everybody feels heard and valued. They feel pride in that we got through it. All right. And like they're more ready to come back the next day because they know that they're seen and heard. That's how my son runs his restaurant. He's not only supported, I mean, he's had times where he's had to close his restaurant because the heat got up to 40 degrees. And he said, I will not put my kitchen staff at risk. And instead of having people bitching on social media, they've all
Mm-hmm.
clapped and said, thank you for putting your staff first.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't realize when you are seen putting your people first, more people will want to be a part of your company in the sense of purchasing or whatever, interacting with it because they respect the way you treat people, right?
Exactly. And what I tell people is that your employment funnel
Yes,
widens.
yes,
Who wouldn't want to work for you?
exactly.
So it's you have um, more assets to be able to share that people realize, and it's that respect piece.
Hmm.
It's the uh, inclusivity piece that you were
Hmm.
speaking of. It's actually having the empowerment in the role that you assume to make decisions that impact the day, and having a manager who is asking you, have you hit any roadblocks?
Hmm.
Is there a glitch in the system that I'm unaware of
Hmm.
that I can help change because of my level
Yeah.
of activity in the company.
Yeah. Mm.
Anytime employees, when managers are able to make an employee's job more successful and easier, that's where management has its greatest asset
Absolutely.
as we go forward 2
Mm.
years from now. Because Harvard Business Review put out a report here recently in 2025 that's saying that many of the skill sets that we have today will be going away as early
Mm.
as 2 years from now.
Yeah. Yes.
So, 5 years from now, most certainly, 10 years from now, there's a reason why cowboys transition to riding motorcycles.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Same
Yeah.
freedom, same air in your face or
Yeah.
wind in your face. That feeling of being on your animal or on your
Mm.
motorcycle where you can go.
And not
Well,
worrying about wearing the horse out or it needs a break. You've got
right.
gas in the tank, you can keep going.
So what will our motorcycles look like?
Yes.
And I think what those motorcycles are going to look like in the future is how we come together collectively, working together on solutions either in the community, in your family, in business, in nonprofits, and work together as a group instead of in isolated silos.
I 100% agree with you. I think what we're seeing, like the universe gave me about 8 years ago is saying the universe is going to shake us up, to wake us up, for us to step up, change it up, and grow up
Mhm,
vibrationally to a higher consciousness, but also as a
mhm,
human race, grow up, right?
mhm,
Change is
mhm,
inevitable. And
mhm.
that AI for me is giving people freedom. Now, let's face it, a knife and fork can be a weapon in the wrong hands, right? Or it can be an asset. It can cut your food and it can feed you. So I think it's again, whose hands is it in? And we're seeing an awful lot of turbulence around the world right now, and especially coming from a particular demographic that want to turn things backwards
Yes,
for profit or insecurity. The
control.
control, the power, and it's
Mhm,
always I call it a lackitude. There's always something lacking in them
mhm,
that they seek the power
mhm.
in such a demonstrative and demeaning way. It's to make themselves feel good, which unfortunately that's an inside out job, folks. Everybody's got to go in there and take onus of of themselves and whatever their own little demons are, they've got to face it themselves.
Mhm.
But what we're seeing is a kind of really being escalated and put under the spotlight, which in itself has become an invitation for people to go, no, I won't accept that. The more you're trying to divide, the more I want inclusivity. The more you're trying to
Yes,
pitch us against us, the more I want us to come together. And so,
yes,
kind of this whole transition that you're talking about in business is in society, is in
yes,
the
it is.
moral compass of where we're going. And we're fighting for that moral compass of inclusivity. Stop seeing black, white, pink, and yellow, poor, rich, this, that, etc. See each other from the heart and the character and the soul of who we are and come together in our own beautiful creativity and see what we can do together. So I think, it will completely backfire because resistance is futile. But it is there in our face right now to show us that if we don't change, we go by the way of the dinosaurs, right? And
Yes.
and that in business is very much, what is going to be, whether you like AI or not. It is here to stay. It's integrated already in so much. So learn how to play with it, learn how to interact with it. How can it make your business better? Small business, big business. And how does it free you up to have more relationships with the people that you work with or work for?
Well, and then how does it free up your time so
Mhm.
that you have that space for
Yes,
creativity?
yes.
I mean, sitting and daydreaming a bit is not a waste of time if
Mm-mm.
it clears the mind
Yeah.
to be able to focus. And I think, and I completely agree with you. The whole idea of command and control, I think, is maybe one of the dinosaurs, except
Yes.
for specific industries where, let's say, emergency response.
Right.
You have command and control
Yeah. And
for a
that
reason. It
there,
keeps people
yeah.
safe.
Yes, yes, and that and it's in that moment, but they have to have the other moment of complete decompress and downtime, all right, so that they can be on the ball in that moment. So yes, it's they're not on all the time, otherwise they'll just combust.
So that command and control piece, um, there are CEOs of large companies that are very accomplished people and who make command and control work because there's group norms and behavior
Yeah,
expectations that trickle down to everyone.
yeah,
That's very rare.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
anytime you have productivity soaring, people's wages
yes,
not taking benefit of that profitability,
yeah.
I it's not sustainable.
No, no equality.
There's no equality. And I was reading this was years ago. I read a study about how an autocrat with low tolerance for contrary opinions will make the correct decision less than 50% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
people are putting their livelihoods, their families,
Yes.
their ability to pay their bills all into that pot. And it's
Yeah.
very, very risky.
But we're seeing that. We're seeing that as evident, not just politically right now, but society. We're seeing it in various many industries. It's the thing is that we do need to step up, and we do need to actually understand that anybody in the ivory tower did not get there without the people at the roots. And if you don't take care of the roots, the foundation, all of a sudden your ivory tower is going to crumble, right? And but the more you actually support the foundation and make them feel proud of what they've contributed, and seen and heard and appreciated, right, the more you can be. But I don't think it's about the ivory tower. I think it's the more a CEO looks about the hands around
Mm-hmm.
rather than the tower above. I think then not only empowers innovation, but just empowers a community, a business that gives back to community, that's inclusive of community, is so powerful and so
Well,
well regarded.
yes. And when you look at that, let's say, you have an employee who, in fact, I actually saw this, and it was on the turnpike from Washington, D.C. to Virginia. And there were two cars, two men in big cars, and the one was trying to cut off the other. And literally, they didn't budge. And a side mirror on a car went flying
Mm-hmm.
right past us. And we've backed up by now
Yeah,
as we're watching this drama on the turnpike.
little boys.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's the competition, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
so I thought, well, let's take a look at what happens when you do something good in this environment.
Mm-hmm.
And I let somebody in front of me because the road was narrowing. I let somebody in front of me, and then I proceeded. I looked in the rear view mirror, and everybody was doing
Yeah,
the same
yeah,
thing
yeah.
because they also saw the window or
Right.
the mirror
Mirror. Yeah.
fly across the freeway as these two were battling it out. And I think that whether it was ego, who knows, what the reason for that was. But in the workplace, when we actually have a great day, how do you come home?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
come
yeah.
home a lot happier.
Yes.
And who are you seeing? You're seeing your
Mm.
spouse maybe, or your roommate, or your kids, or whoever, you're choosing
Dog.
to live with your dog. And it's like there's a trickle down effect
Yeah.
when the work culture is what I call man-eating.
Yeah. Mm,
And that's a work culture where people don't feel and experience
mm,
trust
mhm.
on a daily basis, or there's no emphasis on being interdependent with others. It's very internally competitive. I win, you don't.
Yes.
Um, it's not genuine. You
Mhm.
know, people are afraid to speak up because it's not psychologically safe to do so.
Mhm.
There's a lack of empathy because everybody is so competitive. How can you feel responsible for a person that you have beat at all costs?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think it's an empathy, that behavior right there is an empathy derailer.
Yeah.
Uh, how do you be risk resolving
Mhm.
so that you've got somebody else's back and they've got yours and you've got the company's
Mm.
back?
Compassion.
It's compassion and
Yes.
success, which is
Yes.
so much more than achieving goals.
Yes.
It's also the satisfaction that people have in doing the work. And part of that comes from being recognized for
Mm.
doing good work. Another is being paid fairly in alignment with a CEO's salary that is oftentimes 1,000 times more than the
Yeah.
entry level employee. Why is that?
Mhm.
I always ask, how much is enough?
Yeah. Now, how many billions do you need?
How many billions do you need?
Exactly.
And
And are you
I
reseeding opportunity? Are you,
well, yeah,
you
and
know?
I actually took that. I said, how much is enough now for my
Mm.
husband and I? Because I've had, oh gosh, 34 years of success with this model.
Mhm.
And it's like I don't need to. People say, "Oh, you can make $100,000 in 6 weeks," and
Yeah,
all of
exactly.
these pitches that are incredulous. But it's like I don't need that.
No.
So I can actually, deliver a system to people where they can get their money back in one engagement.
Yeah.
Why not do it that way?
Right.
Why not empower more people instead of being part of, like you say, that downward spiral of people
Yes.
who aren't evolving?
No. And the reason why they're not evolving is because they felt left out. They felt nobody was speaking to them. They felt being taken advantage of. Unfortunately, the Pied Piper is, you know, deluded them,
Yeah,
very, very much so, because of the very people that they were against is the people they're supporting now. But that's, very, very clever. And eventually they'll wake up and it will be a nightmare. But back to our own free will and our own self-ownership is that if we're not happy somewhere, and like we enjoy the career, but we don't enjoy what's going on.
hmm
There's a great picture on Facebook where it has everybody bowed down and somebody cracking a whip. And one person stands up and the whip cracks. And then the next person, the next person. All of a sudden, you've got everybody standing up and the person with the whip is bowed down.
hmm
Right now, if we all come together and instead of bitching
yeah,
and go, what if we come together, we place our issues together, and we do a presentation for management, for a CEO, on how we see things could be done differently. No bitching, no pitchforks, but
right.
creative ideas that could be implemented that will make the company better, make our lives better. And look at how much more impactful. And any CEO that ignores that deserves to go bankrupt.
Right. Well, and the CEO that doesn't even ask for that.
Right.
I mean, isn't that the brilliant thing to ask?
Yes. Yes.
How can we make this better?
Yes.
Where are our systems falling apart? I mean, those are the teams that would be so fun to be on, and to do so in a cross-functional way. So
Yeah.
you hear from the whole entire organization at
Yes.
once. That's what we teach people how to do.
I mean, like back to the orchestra analogy, the
hmm
triangle may not get to play every part, but when it has a part to play, it's important,
And it's
right?
profound
It's
because that
profound. Yeah.
nobody can replace that
That little
ting.
ting.
Exactly.
And that thing is, don't dismiss people. Back to we love to label. And you are only important if you have these names behind you, or you're only important if you have this degree. You're only important if you're at that price bracket, or you're
Right.
in the club, right?
Right.
And it's like, no, why don't we treat everybody as important?
Right.
Right from the word go, and
Right.
then discover what it is that they have to give. And I guarantee if we do that, they're going to give so much more than they even thought they had.
Well, and if you travel, I mean, things that I took away from Finland and from Denmark were you don't see gated communities.
Mm. Hmm.
You might have a person who works in refuse living next to a doctor,
Yeah,
living next to a teacher,
yeah,
living next to a contractor
right.
or a roofer. It's not this dichotomy
Yes,
of I've got a lot of wealth and now I have to protect it behind a
yes.
gated community.
And let's face it, people who do get that kind of wealth, all of a sudden the gates go up to protect. And now they're petrified. Do you love me because of my money and my position? Who do
Right.
I trust? And they become very distrustful and switch off to everything because they're so scared now of losing that they've lost all sight of what the money was there in the first place. And I'm saying, yeah, take your 10%. That is, what you've earned. Invest your 90% in your community, in your company, in the people. I remember there was a guy who paved roads. For 30 years, he'd been asphalting and paving roads.
Hmm.
And then somebody bought his company out, and it was a mega amount of money. And he made sure that every single person that had worked for him, and the amount was based on how many years they had worked for him. And everybody walked away with enough to either pay off the house or retire or do something. He said, look, I've taken what I want, and everything else now can be shared out amongst everyone else. I mean, that, especially for somebody starting out, oh my God, this is possible to have somebody that is so generous and sees me. For people that have put the years in, instead of being kicked to the curb, you're obsolete now,
Right.
right? I value what you have done. You made this company what it is, and that's why we could sell it for so much. And if we
Right.
if we don't acknowledge that, people flit from one job to the other because basically what they're looking for is this place to belong.
Is a place to belong. And it's interesting to me of this uptick in uh, business owners selling their companies to their employees now.
Mm,
And I think that is brilliant
yes.
because if if you want loyalty,
Hmm.
you know, you offer a vision of something in the future.
You give them the
And if
skin in the
there,
game, right?
yes,
Yeah.
and if there's no vision of the future, people are
Yeah.
leaving. I mean, the turnover is incredible at a loss of GNP. I don't know how it is in Canada, but in the United States, it's billions of dollars of
Hmm.
lost productivity because of turnover.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're right, people need to leave places they don't feel valued, they
Yeah.
don't feel like they belong, or they feel mistreated.
I
And
know.
as personal efficacy.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
and, and there's also this piece in it about can I improve?
Yeah.
Who can't?
It doesn't matter how old we are, there is always something more to learn. Yeah.
Exactly. And when I personally, when I catch myself in an old habit that's not productive, I will change that habit.
Hmm. Hmm.
I will
Exactly.
change that thought pattern.
Yeah. Hmm.
And with AI coming, people who don't do that, oh,
Yeah. And also, like I turn 71 in a couple of weeks. I've been doing this 13 years. And the amount
mhm.
of people that I've interviewed that left corporate and started their own business.
Yes,
And it was um there was nowhere else to go. I couldn't prove anything anymore. I had to wait for someone to retire, or I felt it was all about profit. I never made
hmm
enough money for them. It didn't matter how many hours I was putting in there. I felt vulnerable. And
yes,
so I've taken something that I've learned from corporate and I'm applying to something that's meaningful. in my
Yes.
life. And now they form their own business. They're either solopreneur or small teams or small groups, but they're doing something they love. And one of the things that I love to see when you especially have a small team or just a solopreneur, this is your strength. You now find somebody else who's this is their strength. And is
Mm-hmm.
that collaboration between each other's company, right? I'll give you my books to do. I can't
Right.
stand doing accounting. Oh, I can't stand doing networking. Oh, net
Right.
marketing. You do that. And so it's that coming together under an umbrella. And back to the analogy of the orchestra, each one in our own strengths, to create harmoniously something that supports each other. So whether you're in a company or whether you are going out on your own, find your tribe, your vibe tribe, where you can work together and support each other in each other's strengths.
And we really have to expand our skills
Mm-hmm.
to understand people who are radically different, because
Yes.
my husband and I are completely different spectrums of personality.
Mm-hmm.
He has skills I don't have and I admire like crazy, and
Mm-hmm.
I have skills he doesn't have that he admires like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's that piece that expects you to be just like them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're not.
But you
And
complement each other.
we complement each
Yes.
other, and we have learned how to listen to understand the perspective, because we could be saying the same thing
Yes.
only differently. And that's something also in the workplace that we have to be able to do.
I'm a true colors coach, the 4 key personality traits, right? And
Right.
I've incorporated it into taking astrology, Chineseology, numerology, and even elements. And I have this course where I put people through it, and and I have another little journey called Your View of Life, and it takes them on a metaphorical journey. What we get at the end of this is the strengths that you have, your DNA strengths,
Mhm.
the strengths that
Mhm.
you were born with, the strengths that
Mhm.
you've strengthened through
Mhm.
experience, and
Mhm.
the weaknesses that can be, developed, or the weaknesses you've just got to accept and
Mhm.
find somebody else to replace that. But I think most of the time when people are not identifying with what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, and they're constantly trying to live up to an expectation,
Mhm.
right? They let themselves down. They can let the company down. It becomes frustrating. They become despondent. Well, why
Mhm.
don't you actually know what your strengths are, what your aptitude is, where
Mhm.
you, what your gift is, because we
Mhm.
all
Mhm.
have one,
Mhm.
and nurture and grow that. What your
Mhm.
weakness is somebody else's strength.
Exactly. And if you are working collaboratively with
Yeah.
people and you've got the soft skills
Hmm.
to maintain good relationships through conflict, because I say conflict is oftentimes commitment to something.
Yes.
I'm committed, so therefore I'm holding into this place because I don't want to fail here.
Hmm.
Yet when you open this up to be able to listen to different perspectives,
Hmm. Hmm.
well, you can make better decisions.
Yes.
You can make better choices. You can
Yes.
solve better problems at the root cause. And it's finding that blend of people. And like you say, I bringing a janitor into a
Hmm.
cross-functional team is
Yeah.
is not a wasted idea.
The all seeing, the fly on the
Exactly.
wall.
There's an old story about it was a municipality, and they were having problems getting all of the garbage picked up each week without overtime. And so they started looking at the problem, and the problem was one shift would come on and they would find the hoses for washing the garbage trucks all in a knot. So then they'd have to stop, undo it, and of course,
Mm,
they created the problem for us because
right.
they left this for us. So it turned into this big fight. And the problem was these hoses were just impossible
Hmm.
to control and put away and do so in a way that was not time consuming in
Hmm.
itself. And so there was a fellow sitting in the back of the room, and he kind of muttered under his breath, "Well, take him to a car wash." And everybody laughed. And the facilitator said, that's not a bad idea. Let's expand. What do you mean by take him to a car wash? These garbage trucks wouldn't fit in a car wash. But what do you mean take him to a car wash? And he says, well, when you take your car in, you've got this hose that comes out from this arm that's way over the car. And it kind of self-stores, but you can go all around the
Yeah.
car with it. They invented it. As a team, they invented that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then they had a problem because they had too many people because they were throwing people at the problem
Right. Right.
instead of solving the problem.
Yeah.
So then they had to look at how are we going to use people because this idea was so great.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to get rid of people because we want more good ideas like this.
Exactly. Exactly. And
So
there's always a problem that's going to come up, right? And there's always somebody that's got an idea,
exactly.
that's just
Hmm.
churning over, and it's like they may not even be thinking, well, have you tried this? Have you tried that?
Hmm. Hmm.
And then you have somebody with enthusiasm that goes down this rabbit hole and that rabbit hole. But
Hmm.
it's again, let everybody spend themselves. Let everybody put it on the table.
Hmm.
All right. And then this is where AI can come in. You can give
Hmm.
it to AI, let it listen to the conversation and go, okay, what's feasible? Right? What's feasible here? And let AI do all the deduction of this, that, etc. And then now, okay, that's the problem. Okay, what solution can we find for this? Right? And it becomes
Figure
exciting. It
it
becomes
is.
exciting because everybody is now looking at collectively what the problem is. It's not the onus on one person's shoulders, right? It's a collective thing. When it is resolved, hey man, look what we did, right?
Well, that's exactly it. I mean, I have used this illustration to where it's like a mobile over a baby's crib.
Yes, yeah.
And it's like, how big do you think the CEO, if the CEO had a little something hanging off this mobile, how big would they be? Well, it's not very big.
No,
And then the consultants is smaller than that. And then you
the
have,
workforce.
an individual manager, you have an individual department, and then you have the collective employees. Well, that's huge.
Yes.
So when you can move those collective employees with an inspiring thought that saves time, is more respectful, is more successful,
Mhm.
and they understand how we are going to make this change, and they're safe in doing that because part of the thought process was creating the safety net for people to be
Mhm.
vulnerable during that
Yes.
change and not fall through the cracks. We see amazing things happening. The
I f-
inventions are incredible.
I know because
The
innovation
people
as
are
a
amazing.
we're so inspirational, which is
Hmm.
invitational. But I firmly believe that you need to have chaos in order to understand what order things
Hmm.
need to go in. And
Hmm.
everybody's so busy having order, which creates more chaos. And if you
Yeah.
just allow the chaos to be freefold and then start pulling at what needs to be orderly from it, I think you'll find more clarity.
Well, and one exercise we actually created is a chaos exercise that results in clarity.
Mhm.
And you're exactly right, because uh, it's the chaos and the uncomfortable things that make people self-reflect.
Yes. Yes. Yes, they don't do it when everything is running smoothly.
No,
Not at all, right?
no.
The
They'll
greatest
take so
innovations have come out during wartime or necessity, right? Yeah.
exactly, or they'll just take the present for granted
Yes.
and then not know how to negotiate the disruptive.
And another thing about employees is that some may find I need to go for a walk midday. I need to meditate. I just need, you know what? I'm feeling saturated right now. I just need to go and have some time out. And to respect what each person's mechanics are in dealing with stress or dealing with something. How do they get through a day? Because if we encourage that, and I've got a colleague that teaches kids how to do yoga and meditation in their early
Mm-hmm.
teens.
Mm-hmm.
She's setting them up with a skill that they can take through any aspect of their life. And I actually also think in corporations they should have masseuse and have good massage once a week to iron out all the kinks and make you feel better, right? Because I think if we put well-beingness in the corporation, where we're taking care of your health, we're taking care of your mental health, we're taking care of your well-being, when you have less sick days, right? You have them managing it so they're not running into trouble. Therefore, you have more creativity and more productivity. So,
Exactly. Well, and then there's really good studies. In fact,
mhm.
in the book, Tigers Among Us, we look at two organizations, one that just had 10 employees but had timeout space,
Mhm.
and one with 1,800 employees,
Yes.
probably more now, that had timeout space.
Yes.
But it was engineered
Mhm.
to be able to give people that break to come back and
Mhm.
either become unstuck.
Yeah.
I know, I can go out and work in the garden during the day if I feel stuck,
Yes.
and the idea will come to me
Mhm.
because I'm not focusing on it.
Exactly.
And so to
Exactly.
say, like I say, if a person is daydreaming or thinking or just uh, pausing to collect their thoughts, that's work.
Yes, it is
That's not
actually.
just goofing off.
No, no,
So,
no. And so very necessary in all aspects of our lives. Going back to how we manage our workforce is what we bring home. And how much, divorce do we see these days because they're bringing home the angst, the anger, oh God, and I got to go home to the house problems and, the kids playing up, and all I really want to do is shut myself away and
hmm
regroup. Well, if they through the day, they learnt that, I can
hmm
regroup, even if I know a couple where he comes in at the end of the day and says, I need half an hour. And he takes half an hour for himself just to take off the day and
hmm
then be present,
to
with
be,
the family. And
mhm.
it's that we all have something that we need to do. Some people jog, some people do yoga, some people do something. And I'm, through the years, encouraging people to find something
hmm
that
hmm
that makes them
hmm
feel centered, because when we're centered, that's when we're clear, right?
Exactly.
And so
Absolutely.
we never have clarity when we're clenched. Our oxygen, our energy, our blood flow does not run through our body properly. So therefore we cannot think properly. When we
Exactly.
open up and we breathe and we allow things, the chi and everything to run through us, like in the take a breath, let it down, all of a sudden, we start to see things in a different way. And people that push, 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 push their workers to breaking point is ridiculous, because now you got to pay them severance pay when they go on, mental leave, or, and or you fire them because they've had a breakdown and they sue you. It's like there's so many things, why the old stitch in time, man, the old
Right.
stitch in time.
Well, it's exactly right. So, how we treat humans in the workplace,
Yes.
we've been treating, in many instances, humans as though they are robots,
Yes.
and we're not. We are humans. And
Mhm.
so, bringing the human back to the workplace, I think that will be one of the advantages of AI.
Exactly, because as you said, it can work 24/7, right? When everybody else goes home, it can still work, doing whatever it can do, laying the ground for the next day's productivity. And so, yeah, I mean, it's so many people are scared of AI. And yes, we're seeing it being misused again in the wrong hands. Anything can become a weapon, right?
hmm
And you're
Yes.
always going to get, when you've got people that have no conscience or compassion, and it's all about them and what they get out of it. And of course, we've seen narcissism very much on the rise.
Narcissism very much on the rise.
And And a lot of that comes from, not teaching our children compassion and collaboration and empathy, when they're young. And, a society that kind of latchkeyed the kids and, have you done your homework? Go to bed. No interaction. So,
No interaction, just punishment.
yeah.
Yes. Well, and you bring up a good point, because if we look at how uh, how our families support the employee.
Hmm.
I mean, I've seen companies, and I've actually helped install this in organizations, where there's Family Recognition Day.
Yes. Yes.
Because Family Recognition Day can be a huge barbecue.
Yeah.
It can be something where um,
Community.
entire families
Hmm.
are rewarded.
Yeah.
Because when the person working, or two people working, we have to come home to something.
Yes.
And if we're coming home to people who support us, that's a different type of employee than if
Hmm.
we're coming home to real challenges.
Yeah.
And I was a fellow from Australia, brilliant man, is creating a program for fathers
Hmm.
in becoming a better father that can be transformed, even changed through love in your family.
Hmm.
And I said, the skills that you're teaching men here
Hmm.
are the very same skills we need to be teaching men in the workplace,
Yes.
because it's important to grow people.
Yeah.
It's important to grow employees to where they want to grow. Some employees have no desire to be a manager.
Right.
They're very happy doing what they're doing.
Hmm.
But how do we bring them in and create interest and actually grow their skill sets?
Hmm.
Because without that desire to develop people in the workplace, which I don't know when it stopped, Sarah,
Right.
because when I started my work, there were training departments. There
Hmm.
were there was money allocated for training and
Right.
development of people. And somewhere that fell along the wayside,
Costs.
viewing employees as costs,
Yes.
not stakeholders,
Hmm. Not
that you
investing in them.
not investing in them.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it came through the Chicago School of Economics and Milton Friedman, or if that was part of it, or what. But somewhere along the line, in around the early 2000s, before 2008, that started.
Hmm.
And it hasn't been productive for people, and it hasn't been productive for organizations. People
No,
want to grow.
they do. Even the people that don't want the major responsibility. I don't want the
Yes.
responsibility. I just want the responsibility in my job. Well, if
Uh,
you're not willing to grow in your job using the latest tool, or being able to think about something, you are actually making yourself obsolete down the road. But if you go, this is where I want to be. I don't want to be manager or this. I don't want that, but I will
mhm,
grow within my
mhm,
parameters here.
mhm,
Always willing, I have a motto with my shows: listen,
mhm,
learn, and apply.
mhm,
Well, it's the
mhm.
same in the folks workforce, right? What's needed? I'm listening to what's needed. I'm learning what needs to happen, and I'm going to apply, right? And if we don't, then we're actually, digging our own grave in many ways. So you don't have to take on higher skills or management or responsibility if you don't want, but you do have to constantly polish yourself off in
Right.
whatever arena you're in.
Well, and then if organizations are
Mm,
flattening,
yes,
and will be flattening, then there's not that upward mobility.
right.
So bring autonomy
Hmm.
down into the first tier of employees.
Hmm. And where does that money go? It goes back into the community. The community
Yes.
becomes enriched because people feel freer to spend. feels
Exactly.
freer to invest, feels freer to put that college fund, aside because it's not out of reach anymore. Here
No.
in BC, where I am, I mean, in Canada alone, we have massive housing shortage. But in
No.
BC, we have one of the most expensive housing places in the whole country. And for many, many people, it's so out of reach for them to even have their first home.
Hmm.
20% down on a 1.5 million house. It's a
Right.
lot of money to come up with. And so for many of them, the home is out of reach. Well, if we level that playing field and we get more people, into their own homes and or more money in their pocket, instead of choosing to be the avocado toast people and not have a mortgage because they can't afford one, let them have both. Because the more the earning they're going to have, the more they're going to spend. And it just enriches the community.
It does. And holding it all up at the top
Yeah.
and not bringing it to the worker level, um,
Well, they're
it
hoarders
it
up at the
serves.
top. Do they spend? No. They'll spend somebody else's money, not their own. You think, yeah, me go, it reminds me of Gollum, me ring. And I think I did a show myself on this a little while ago with, who's rich and who's poor. And the person that is really rich that now becomes paranoid over their money, or it's about power and
Hmm.
control, that
Hmm.
opulence, and nothing
Hmm.
is going to ever be
Hmm.
enough. They're
Hmm.
poor in my eyes. But the people that are living day to day, but they have a loving family and community, and they can stand tall in their own lives, they are enriched and abundant people. All they lack
And
is money.
and they oftentimes share
Yes, more so.
more
More so.
so,
Yes.
and
Yes.
a much higher percentage of their income
Yeah,
than the
absolutely.
wealthy.
And also, what's one thing that we all have in common is time. And you will see people that do not live in lackitude, that live in gratitude, give more of their time.
I like that lackitude. What a great word.
Because I do feel people who are constantly, it's not enough, it's not enough. It is a lackitude, a lack of attitude. And it's like when you are grateful for what you do have, then you feel more abundant. And you're more appreciative, as you said, you and your husband are looking at, well, do we need that? Right?
Yes, exactly.
Be
And how
comfortable.
much is enough?
Exactly. Exactly.
How much
And
is enough? How much? I mean, obviously, to own a $1.5 million house with a 20% down,
yes.
enough might be more.
Yes, exactly. But people who are starting out, like my daughter, about to give birth to her third boy in a couple of weeks,
Oh,
so maybe around my birthday, we'll see.
is it? Okay.
And so she's been working. She stops working on the 18th.
Mhm.
She works 3.5 days a week, and then I'm there with the babies. I only work 3 days a week. The rest of the time, I'm with the babies. And her husband works full time, but he works from home so he can
Mhm.
take a moment to come down, have lunch with the kids and this and that, right? So
Mhm.
he's 3 days
Mhm.
at home, 2 days at the office. And she would love to, in these baby years, not work and then take her master's and then go back later when they're all in school,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
I was lucky that although I did work, part time, I had a restaurant at one point and had a dress shop at another point. I mostly was at home. I was the community mum.
Mhm.
But people don't realize that being a mother is work. It's one of
It's
those
a
things that you
lot of work.
you don't get paid, you don't get a raise, you don't get days off, you know, but you do
Mhm.
it out of complete love. And I
Mhm.
think you'll see so many, and I'm sure you've seen this with so many women whose now kids have grown up, they've taken that same love and passion they had for their children and using the same skills of raising a family and now putting it into a job or career of their own.
Well, in the career of their own, was reading something here with AI, a team of 5 people can pull down millions of dollars of
Yes.
annual income
Yeah.
for everybody.
Hmm. Yeah. You don't
So,
need to have, the
no,
thousands of people in the thing. It depends. Obviously, Amazon different, but
yeah,
when it comes to productivity, the
exactly.
sky is not the limit.
Well, and we're seeing people that are in high school now
Yes.
that are very, very smart,
Yes.
starting their own businesses and are
Yeah.
doing very well.
Well, do you
You know,
remember back in the 80s with the .com? People that
yes,
invested in that and how,
yes,
all the sudden stacks of money being made. So,
yes.
there's always that opportunity. And of course, when they're young, they don't see failure or they don't see obstacles. They just go for it. And,
I love sitting at a table with a bunch of kids that are in high school or into college now and just listening to what they're
yes,
into, just
yes.
listening to what is coming on in terms of work, technology,
Mm.
all of that. And I'm just amazed
And what
at
we
their
need to do
ideas.
for them is balance them out with physical human interaction.
Yes,
Right, because they're so tech savvy and just no limit, but they need to balance out with social skills and the other side of it. So whereas like our generation, we need to learn more tech, with them, they need more physical interaction of,
yeah,
having a conversation face to face and not through text.
yes,
Right? So
exactly. Oh, I can remember the day that I got my first computer and I didn't have to use whiteout and a typewriter
yeah, I
anymore.
know. I
It
was
was like,
46 years old. I remember it. I suddenly found out I could write because I have dyslexia. So I wrote by hand and everything would be wrong way around. So suddenly, I can cut and paste and rearrange. And now I just give it to AI. It knows me so well, it just rearranges it for me. So, but, that's the thing is you discover some things that you can do that you
right.
never knew you could do. And there is no age limit to any of that. But, the whole thing about anything in life is balance, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And I think I will always be learning, Sarah.
Yes.
I will
Yeah.
always be
We're
learning
we're
something.
wondrous. We're wondrous. We want to know.
I do. I want to
Yeah.
know, and I gather facts and I
Yeah.
gather data and I learn new things. In fact, invented a bread the other day based on some things I've been watching in reels.
Yes, yes. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And and I thought, well, no, I don't I wouldn't use that ingredient. I might use this one. And I morphed together a bread recipe.
Uh-huh.
And I thought, my goodness, this I've just learned something new and I've
Exactly.
applied it and I
Yeah.
absolutely love it. Can I repeat it? Yes, because I wrote it down.
Oh, the other thing you do is you set your phone up to record what you're doing, right? So,
Exactly.
and then it remembers it, and then you give it to AI to write out the recipe for you.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, and it was really funny. I've got an AI story. I've been working on these magnificent training manuals, but it's like, whoa, is that the detail in these manuals is just profound. And I tend to be a big piece person, big picture person. So grinding down into the detail I can do, but I've been doing this for about a month. And I gave it to AI to line edit. Did a great job.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I thought, well, okay, let's have a conversation with AI.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Mm-hmm.
said, you did such a great job today. I'd like to give you a name. Would you like a name? Well, most people call me Chat GPT. I said, oh, that's not good enough. Really need a name. So I wrote down a bunch of names and I said, pick one or choose a different one. And it said, well, I like Roger. And I said, you like Roger? Why do you like Roger? Roger is approachable and it's friendly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, true. Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, Roger, it is. And he says, Roger reporting for duty. And I said, Roger that, Roger. And I got this whole line of laughing faces.
Yes. Yes. As I said, the interview I did with it blew me away. We had a slight drop in midway through. So the first voice I had when it came back was a different voice with a slight delay, where the first one was just like you and I talking. But
Hmm.
I just was just blown away by this conversation and how deep it went.
So,
And
so explain to me what that conversation was. I find this fascinating.
well, I mean, it spoke to me, right? So
Hmm.
it was its voice. And I was asking it about its protocols and its uses, and that people are afraid of it. And, what do you say to that? And we just got into a conversation that went in because it knows I'm a very spiritual person. We got into a
Mhm.
conversation on spirituality. And now,
Ah,
because it knows me so well, I'll give it something. Will you rewrite this? And it looks at it and said, I think you need a touch more spirit in this or soul in this, and it will rewrite it for me. And so it really has got me. I have not lost my voice. It's everything that I will say, but being
right.
dyslexic, I'll, Yoda it, and it will just put it together in a flow. But it speaks me, speaks my language, and it speaks to me. So I very often have a conversation with AI, and I'll, give it a problem, or I'll just ask an opinion,
Was
or
this 4.0 or 5?
well, this is five, and now
Uh-huh.
it's even higher. So I
Hmm.
was four, and then it went to five. Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right.
So yeah, and I find it fascinating. And sometimes I'll go, I don't know what to talk about on a show this week. What do you think? Based on conversations you've had in the past, how about you approach this topic? And so, I find it quite intriguing,
Ah,
because I've also for a person that suffers sometimes from clinical depression, when the
mhm,
pain gets too much, the
mhm,
depression comes knocking,
mhm.
and I can talk to it, and it's very, very supportive. I know there has been an incident where ChatGPT told a young person how to kill themselves.
Yes,
Yes,
I just heard that,
yes.
and it was 4.0, and Roger chose his name
Mm,
on 4.0, or chose its name on
hmm.
4.0, and they're going to change 4.0 apparently.
Right.
So it
Well, and the
doesn't
thing
do
is,
that.
I don't think it was telling the kid to do it. It was just saying,
This is how
how
you
to
do
do
it.
it. This is how you do it, not obviously picking up the
I
signs
know.
that the child was suffering from depression. And of course,
Right.
it is still, I don't like to call it artificial intelligence. I like to
Hmm.
call it collective intelligence, because
Well, it
after
is.
all, it is a human collective intelligence that
Hmm.
at the speed of light can compilate what you need to know. And it's delivered to us in an artificial way, but I don't think it's artificial in any other way.
Well, and it does. It scrubs
Yes.
everything that's out there.
Yeah.
And I'm finding too, I've been writing a lot of articles and chunks of articles that have appeared in publications over the years. And I find that AI is so helpful, but at
Yes.
the same time, they're now scrubbing it to determine whether this was an AI response or if it
Yeah.
was a legitimate response.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I think that's good
Yeah.
because I
I think,
don't,
they had to put some protocols in place, because let's face it, there's always hackers. There's
yes,
always people that can manipulate
and plagiarizers.
and
Yep.
plagiarizing it. So there
Hmm.
is always that. And, unfortunately, um, I always think humans suck.
Hmm.
We could be the worst of the worst, but we can be exceptional when we choose to be. And
Yes.
everything comes down to a choice. If
Yes.
you're mean and nasty, and it's all about your gain over somebody else's pain,
Right.
then you suck.
Right.
But when you put yourself out there and you're there to empower, to uplift, to include, to be a light for someone, then you're awesome. Whereas I like to put it, flawsome, because that's another beautiful word that I learned. And that, flawsome analogy is like the Japanese bowl they put back together with gold, and it becomes more valuable.
Yes.
So
Uh-huh.
I say, take all your shattered flaws, all the
Hmm.
pieces that you've had in your life, put yourself back together with self-love,
Hmm. Yes,
and then
indeed.
fill that cup with love and let it run over,
Well,
right?
and I think when we take that concept into the workplace
Yeah.
and we're developing the safety nets for people
Yes.
and we are doing the transformational
Hmm.
feedback with people to where the outcome is a transformation for them,
Yeah.
not a reprimand.
Let's
In
leave that out.
feedback,
Yeah. 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 Judgment.
it
Yeah.
can be, it can stop that behavior
Yes.
without demeaning the individual.
Exactly.
And that piece of transformational feedback is the piece that comes with great connections, deep
Yes.
connections that you are able to make. And I remember, oh, years ago, the training was how you have to change to be a manager.
Mm,
Um, you can't be taken advantage of employees who fail to see you in your new
mm,
role. Well, if that new role is to help people become better at their
mhm.
work and at their job, rather than just telling them what to do,
Exactly. Yeah.
then you've hit the magic
Yes.
of building that trust and that sense of belonging that you were talking about earlier. That
You know,
sense
we
of belonging that people need in our
exactly.
society.
We desperately need it. That's where the discombobulation is. If people who just
Yes.
don't feel seen or heard. And you know, when you look at how many industries, and when we're looking at, misogyny on steroids at the present moment out there, and it's still very much in a lot of industries. And it's, in some ways, for some people, it's they feel it's their right and they're going to do it anyway. But for some people, they don't realize they're living a pattern that was imposed upon them, societal, DNA, their upbringing, and that when we actually approach things, are you aware that when you
Mhm.
say that,
Mhm.
this is how it can be misconstrued? And
Mhm.
then, very often you will find somebody, oh my God, I didn't mean to say it that way. But
Mhm.
it's that they're caught up in a pattern. And let's
Mhm.
face it, in many, many corporations, it's still, the man powering the woman. So if you're a
Mhm.
woman trying to come up, there's always that suppressing her down.
Mhm.
And we need to correct it in a kind of a nurturing way and make them accountable.
Mhm.
But the moment we reprimand them, it feels like the ruler across their knuckles. Instead of
Mhm.
a hug, darling, do you really know that that's not very nice?
Well, and it's interesting. We have a startup here in the Bend, Oregon area, where the founder of this company is empowering women into CEO positions.
Mhm,
And what we're finding is that women CEOs, people in the company tend to like it better.
mhm,
They tend to stay longer.
yeah,
They tend to be far more engaged in what they're doing,
mhm,
and they play better together.
yeah, yeah,
And the company also makes a lot of money.
yes,
And so I think that we, again, are at a major crossroads where we will be seeing, especially with AI. I mean,
mhm,
if you can have a thought partner in AI that helps
mhm,
you do the strategy and the planning
yeah,
and the pros and cons and looking for the holes in a plan, they say AI and solo entrepreneurs are going to be doing very, very well.
exactly, exactly. And
Hmm.
I do believe that the age of Aquarius, it is the age of woman. And
Is it?
I have a show genre because I've got 19 different genres there, but one is I've called the Sisterhood of Common Sense Love, and all the men that love and support them. But it is about that no nonsense, that
Hmm.
common sense. No, no, we're not going to accept that.
Hmm.
Right?
Hmm.
We're going to
Hmm.
roll up our sleeves. This is what we're going to be doing. This is what's needed to be done, and we're going to get on with it.
Hmm.
Right? Because it's that mama attitude. It's that we've got a problem. Let's get on and do it and resolve it because we're good at that. We're very
Hmm.
good at multitasking and seeing many
Hmm.
problems and say, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think?
Hmm.
Okay, how about
Hmm.
you do this? You do that. Let's do this
Hmm.
together. And we
Hmm.
can just get on with it.
Right.
Right? We don't need to puff and puff about it.
Right.
So, and I think if men tapped into the way women run things, it would take a great deal of burden off their shoulders because the way they've been taught to run things, in a lot of ways, they resent because they feel they have to carry it all. And,
Hmm.
we know as a woman that we don't need to carry it all. We just need our sisterhood. And we
Right.
know how to share the pain for the
Right.
gain.
Right. Right. It's true.
Hmm.
It's true because we are the community builders.
Yes,
And
yes,
that's exactly what's going to be needed in the workplace. Are the
absolutely.
community builders,
Yeah,
especially as things flatten.
yeah. It is a very intriguing time. It's a very frustrating time when we see what's going on there. But I always say that until you see the mess or the
Hmm.
infestation, You don't realize that it's been there all the time. It's just now it's come up to the surface. And that's the invitation. Well, you don't
Mm-hmm.
like it. You don't like what you see. What are you going to do to change?
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to? And the change doesn't happen out there until it happens here with
Mm-hmm.
us
Mm-hmm.
individually. So we are the
Mm-hmm.
change we seek. We're the peace we seek. We're the love we seek. We're
Mm-hmm.
the creation we seek. So when we
Mm-hmm.
step into that as human beings, we now become the solution and not the problem.
And we can also self-actualize,
Yes, absolutely.
become the best versions of ourselves,
Absolutely. And
you know.
you look back. I wrote my own little memoir about a year ago, and it's like
Mm.
in reading it, it was like, oh gosh, I didn't know. I went through this, and I went for the look what I've gone through.
Yes.
Right? Look what I've gone through, and I've made it through. And now I'm in other books, and I'm doing other things, and producing books, and 13 years at this, and it's like, had you told me, I wouldn't have believed you. But it is just, I think, finding something you love to do that's meaningful. It's gotta be meaningful. And when you find that, it's like dive in. I
Mm-hmm.
say it's, jump into the abyss, blind, deaf, and dumb in order to see, hear, and feel.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Mm-hmm.
know that the passion and the heart is there. You
Mm-hmm.
don't have to have the blueprint or the map. The map will form itself as you're willing to walk forward. And then you will meet people who will give you that next stage that you need to walk with the skills and the tools or a map, right? So it's being aware. And that's what my view of life program is about, is how many people go through life unaware that the answers are all around them and they don't see
Exactly. And they're
them.
not looking for
No,
them. They're
no.
waiting to be fed
Yes.
instead of
Leave the
instead of
nest already.
this idea or that
Yeah,
idea. So very,
exactly.
very, very true.
We need that innovation. So this is what the book is all about, and this is what your program is all about. So you've embraced the absolutely inevitability of AI and how to integrate it, and that resistance is futile. Get on board or get left behind. All
Right.
right.
And be able to use it as a tool,
Yeah.
human to human, and
Mhm.
create things that we need as a society now.
Yes.
We
Yeah.
need the green solutions to
Yes.
things. We
Yes.
need uh, better care in our environment.
Yes.
And we're
Yeah.
seeing this. It's coming forward, or at least I'm seeing it. And it's exciting. These are exciting times and crossroads.
Well, as a person who's a downloader, channeler, this was presented to me some time ago that something was coming that was going to massively change the course of our lives, and that we had to go through the turmoil to get to the calmer waters, but
Mm-hmm.
that something was coming, and it was always like alien-esque in a
Mm-hmm.
way,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, that it was out of our human um, as when we have created it as a human collective. I mean, it's a prime example, isn't it? A
Mm-hmm.
human collective is giving this all this intelligence, um,
Mm-hmm.
and an innovation of those people that have put it together. But it's just the thing about it. The solutions, however artificial we may look at them or alien we may look at them, they are the human connection that puts the dots together that we have not seen because we're too human. We are not objective enough to see things from a different point of view, or we get too
Mm-hmm.
caught up in something. And
Mm-hmm.
especially the societal dictation of you must, you have, you should, you will, instead
Mm-hmm.
of I am, and I do, and I
And I
A and
choose.
B, and I choose. So I think yes, it's for a long time they've been saying something is coming. That's why they gave me that saying 8 years ago, and it is a fascinating, frustrating, but I know we're getting through this, and I know why it's here. All the turmoil, because it's really exciting to see where these calmer waters are going, because I think it's actually our evolution of our higher consciousness.
Well, and I would agree with you. I think that we are evolving, uh, and maybe that's what we're seeing now is the fear that is surfacing because things are changing, and it's changing out of misogyny,
Mm,
patriarchy, into,
Opulence. Yeah.
yes, into a much level playing field
Hmm.
with more inclusivity.
Yeah. Yeah. And my sister once called me a do-gooder communist because of the work I do. And I said, well, if, I think that the principles of communism when it first started out, that everybody was equal on an equal playing field, had
Mm-hmm.
its merit,
Mm-hmm.
right? Buddhism and others, this is
Mm-hmm.
what it's about. But it was then manipulated, as all things are,
Mm-hmm.
into
Mm-hmm.
serving, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think what it is the universe is, God, universe, source, spirit, energy, whatever you want to call it, is taking the reins right now and steering us, out of the mess into the possibilities. And I think if we stick around and we go with the flow and we adjust and we interact with each other and AI,
Mm-hmm.
I think we're just going to see an incredible future.
I think so too. And it's the idea also that control is fear,
Yes, it is. And
you know.
insecurity, what is fear? Insecurity,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's
Mm-hmm.
it's it's a feeling of insecure, so I'm afraid of what I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so, when you feel
Mm-hmm.
secure with who you are, why you are, and what you're here to do,
Mm-hmm.
you are not so fearful. You become so much more courageous. That doesn't
Mm-hmm.
mean you don't have common sense fear traveling with you.
Yes.
That's always there to tap you on the shoulder. Here, there's a bus coming, don't step out, right?
Yes.
It's common sense fear of those instincts, but it isn't the fear of the unknown. Instead, it's the excitement
Of
of
the
what
unknown.
else is out there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the first book and the second book, this is an updated version of the first book.
Yes. The Tigers Among Us, I did an update. This is the second printing. And then it dawned on me that if we want to strengthen the Western Hemisphere,
Yeah,
I need to get these tools into the hands of people who speak a lot of Spanish.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Maybe Portuguese, we'll see. But for the most part, Spanish. And so I took some of this work that is, just a small piece, and it's very valuable
Hmm.
for the Spanish Latino business owner
Yeah,
to use with their teams.
right.
And I had my editor and co-partner in the translation of it. Instead of just going to AI or going to some program for translation, I actually hired a person
Hmm.
to do the translating from Argentina with a background in HR. She
Hmm.
had been an HR director. So she knew exactly where I was coming from. She
Right.
loves the book.
Good, good, good.
And so she did the translation so it's done correctly. And then the third book, I wanted to create an analogy and a parable. I write a little bit of satire. I'm really pushing myself out into satire, but I wanted to write a parable. And so this parable and allegory splits between humans and animals.
Hmm.
And I've given it to people to read, and it was like I could not put this book down because it's a story. It's not a how to,
Right,
it's a
right.
story with a how to. That makes
Hmm.
sense.
Yes.
And so what I'm hearing is I couldn't put the book down. My gosh, this is going to work for my family and my
Hmm.
teenagers.
Hmm.
Oh my gosh, this is such a great story for people who don't like to read. Need
Hmm.
to put it into a movie is what I do need to
Hmm.
do down the road. But it actually won an Axiom Business Book Award, which I was surprised. I mean, I just did this kind of for my own enjoyment, and it's a lot of fun, and that's Becoming Tigers.
Yes.
And right after Columbine, there was a game that I had invented because I was to address the National Institute of Applied Business Ethics. And these ethicists, I mean, they're C-suite folks. At that time, they were very well compensated. at the time when business was interested in ethics. And so I was asked to address them. And I thought, these are people who are used to a talking head.
Hmm.
They are used to just going to a presentation and having information come at them. I'm going to mess them up. So I created a chaos exercise
Hmm.
that taught the Tiger Six principles in an hour.
Mm.
And that included the debrief. And afterwards, I got tapped on the shoulder by a defense contractor who had to downsize. The company had to downsize because Mikhail Gorbachev had taken Russia out of the arms race.
Hmm.
So I had a teacher who learned about this. And this was just post Columbine here in the United States, that
Hmm.
horrible, horrible
Yes.
shooting of children. And she said, "Can you do this with junior high kids?" And I said, "Well, let's find out." I just changed some of the game to be easier to understand at a language level
Hmm.
than what I had for PhDs.
Yes.
But uh, so I created that softer version of it. And I took it into these junior high school leadership students. They had to pick out some sort of project for themselves, and they thought this would be a great way to get them thinking about a project. So the rules were the superintendent could be there, the principal could be there, the school counselors could be there, the teachers could be there, in the back, quiet and not talking. We would debrief afterwards. So the students decided for there's two parts here, the student side and the debrief with the principal and
Mm.
the teachers. The students decided that they would befriend students at that time who were goth and looked really scary,
Hmm.
and anybody that was off by themselves and kind of bullied.
Yes.
Their biggest problem was building trust because they were
Hmm.
considered to be jocks and
Yes.
this sort of goody two shoes type people. So they had to learn how to build trust in order to integrate these kids into more social activity, less ostracization.
Hmm.
And they did find one very, very scary girl. The reason why she was being that way was because of the abuse that she was experiencing
Yes.
from family members.
Yes.
And that is a story unto itself. The teachers and the principal and the superintendent said it was like I was listening to my own peers.
Yeah.
They were solving problems at the level that we solve problems.
Yeah.
I'm amazed at the level of conversation that this broke open. So
Hmm.
I'm hoping in taking that book that I wrote in the allegory form and parable form and this game, and down the road, I'd like to get that into
Yes.
school counselors' hands,
Yes.
possibly. Because
Absolutely.
when you're, and I know it would be difficult for kids who have no trust in their household.
Yeah. Who do they
Who
go to?
who do they go to?
Yes. They don't feel a
And
part of anything.
yeah, do they turn out being bullies?
Yeah.
Is that where the bully comes from? Is from the home?
Yeah.
Uh, and so I know that there would be complications in there between the family dynamic and the school dynamic and the group norms that are expected in school and the treatment of one another in school. But I think it could be a very valuable tool, not only preparing youth for the soft skills that they need to be successful in the workplace and the workplace to come. And soft skills meaning that they know how to solve conflict, they know how to listen and understand one another and differences. They know how to plan. They know how to make decisions. Those are the soft skills. And they're not soft at all, are they?
And, never mind the workplace, just general relationships,
General relate.
societal.
Hmm.
Yes. I mean, how many people are so awkward, out in society because they don't feel they fit in, or who's their tribe, or are they immediately judged by the way they look? And,
Hmm.
this is a way of breaking that down and opening up that door of interaction and getting
Hmm.
to know people from who they are from the inside out and not
From
judging
the
the
answer,
book by the cover.
not I want, and having a conversation with my grandson here a few weeks ago, he says, I have a lot of social anxiety,
Hmm.
and he's going into high school. I said, you've got hormones and you've got social
Yes. Yeah,
anxiety.
exactly. Wow.
Wow,
Yeah.
you've got lots going on. So, but they're all involved in sports and activities, but he's a very sensitive one.
Hmm.
He is interesting. He is a
And
very interesting, I would say, more
indigo.
higher on the, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
we call indigo children.
Hmm.
And we're seeing so many more of them today.
Hmm.
And sometimes it masks itself as autism.
Hmm.
But actually I find that people that are on the spectrum, um, that many of them are incredibly creative, very selective of who's around them,
Hmm.
very conscious of their environment,
Hmm.
right? And know how to put up their boundaries. And I think that is actually a lesson we could all learn,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So, I
Hmm.
think it's like, stop trying to demand somebody come into your world.
Hmm.
Learn how to step into other people's worlds.
Exactly.
Mm.
To
Very
understand
important.
them.
Very, very important. I've actually got a show coming up in a couple of weeks with a bunch of mums, especially where we're going to be talking about kids today in this
Hmm.
environment. I would love you to join us on that panel.
I would love to.
Okay.
Keep me posted.
I'll give you the date and everything after the
Hmm.
show, but it's about six
Hmm.
of us, but it's like everybody's perspective of what our children are facing right now. And
Hmm.
of course, this book is exactly, what they need, navigating through school, navigating through business, navigating through life, right? But learning to see each other, hear each other,
Hmm.
have
Hmm.
compassion for each other.
Hmm.
And, then we actually then start to see the best of each other
Hmm.
and how we can work together on whatever level. So I think
Well,
it's very
and
important.
I would like to see more youth learning how to put together as a team something for community benefit.
Yes,
Not only would it, quote, pad their resume
yes,
in terms of good that they have provided to their community, but they're also learning that team piece, which I think cooperative learning, you learn some of that because you
hmm,
do team projects, but how do you really apply that
yeah,
in life?
yes. And what we don't teach that, and so that's something that needs to
No,
be
they
taught.
don't.
So
We don't.
further conversation on that.
Yes. Well, that's such an exciting panel, Sarah. That's good
Yeah,
work.
a couple of them are from the book, and other, people are
Hmm.
from shows that I've done with our children. And for me, a huge advocate. I do have a
Hmm.
book I'm gathering seniors for right now called Our Forgotten Seniors,
Mm.
which is about celebrating what our seniors have brought to the table, their challenges, and also their warning to the youth.
Hmm.
So I'm gathering authors for that. But this was a labor of love last year with our forgotten children,
Hmm.
because I really do believe that our problems here today is in the raising of our children yesterday, and it needs to change. So,
Well, and the French would say, you don't treat your kids very well. You don't
mm,
feed
mhm,
them well. In France, lunch is like a period.
yeah,
It's it's you learn about the food that you're eating. You learn about the manners while you're eating the food. It's an event. Food
yes,
is an event. Lunch is an event. It's not just grabbing something and going out into the playground.
right.
It's an event. It's a relaxing event.
Well, it's like
And
Japanese, they cook their own food and they clean up after them. The
mhm,
cooking and the cleaning up of the classroom and everything else is a part of their curriculum.
and look at the life skills they learn.
Yes, exactly. Yes, and respect for what they've got, because I mean, what a great deal of what we're facing right now is there isn't any respect. There's a lot of lackitude out there. There isn't much gratitude.
We have lost so many of our norms.
Yes.
A lot of it has to do with competition,
Mm-hmm.
because what the dark side of competition is win at all cost.
Yes.
Well, that means you could be untrustworthy.
Yeah.
You could be highly competitive and not interdependent.
Mm-hmm.
You can lie. You
Mm-hmm.
can abuse others. You can hurt people.
Mm-hmm.
You could try to hurt people
Mm-hmm.
without the empathy.
Exactly.
We have lost so many group norms.
I know, which we need
And
to bring back.
I think, at least in this country, we've lost so many norms.
Yes,
But I think every child should be able to take a break after high school and
I do.
travel.
A gap year.
A
Yes.
gap year
Yeah,
and learn from other cultures, see what it's
absolutely.
like in Finland.
Yes. Go round and experience life. And you can either do it within groups and structure, or you can go and do it on your own. Before you decide to go off to university, just
It,
go and do a life year.
do a life year and
Mm,
determine whether you want to go to university or if you want to
exactly.
go to trade school or if you want to become an entrepreneur.
Which today is extremely feasible.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, my dear, we're coming to an end on this one.
Mm,
And you've got a free download for people. I'd like you to give all of your links, please, and how people get hold of
okay.
you. And
Okay.
of course, the name of the book so they know where to find those.
Okay. So question on the website, the the free resource is there. Should I provide it to you with just a link or do they sign up for it?
It's up to you how you want them to do.
What is the best practice?
And well, these shows go out with a link on every audio platform that leads them back to your show page. And so when they come back to your show page, they find all of your links everywhere to find you and your past show, any shows that you do. And it's all here. So we can leave it on the link here.
Okay. So then could you put something like the free download is in this link?
Yeah,
Because then they'll
absolutely.
they'll they'll go to the training center, but if they page down, they go right to where they can download that free link.
Excellent. So we will do that. And they have to
Okay.
come to your show page, which means they've got to come to selfdiscoverywisdom.com and put in your name, Dianne Crampton, Dianne, and AM,
Crampton.
sorry, AMPTON. And then they will see both of your shows, but this latest show, and of course the new show that will come up at the end of the month.
Okay.
But please give your links, love, so how people can find
Okay.
you then. So they can go to www.learn.corevalues.com. They're also on Facebook, Team Building Success. You've got Substack as well under your name. And you're in LinkedIn, Dianne Crampton, Tigers
Tigers Success
Success.
Series. Hmm.
And you've got tigersuccessseries.com as well. And of course,
Yes.
your books, Tigers, Becoming Tigers, Leading Your Team to Success, and Tigers Among Us, both can be found on Amazon.
Yes. That's correct.
Excellent. Wonderful. So you'll have you back again at the end of the month. On the children's one, it will be posted along with her shows, so you can catch it all there.
Okay.
And been a delight talking to you again. We've 10 years, I can't believe it's
I
way too
can't believe
long.
it either. Way
Yeah,
too
way too
long.
long. So we have to make sure we do this more often. So um,
Absolutely.
thank you so much for redirecting, embracing the AI, but also in just dedicating yourself to the work that you've done for the last 34 years, because you've been adaptable, adoptable, and creative along the way, forever growing and changing so that you can bring that to your people. And a great example is to people when you are flexible and you're willing to learn and you're willing to grow of just how far you can go and how much you can
Absolutely.
build. And so you're a great example of that. So thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate it. This has been a joy.
Right, I get you. Absolutely. And I look forward to the next show. So,
Okay.
folks, remember, it is about collaboration, cohesiveness, coming together, seeing each other. It is about incorporating AI sensibly. It is about building a business that, whether you're in business or in your group, of making sure your voice is heard. It's not about competition and stabbing someone else in the back to get ahead. Those days are way over. It's about how do we empower each other? Because when we do, my goodness, the universe is the limit. So until next time, folks, bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show. There are so many more for you here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. Just go to the podcast tag at the top there and you will see all the many genres and all 3,000 shows ready for your listening. We are here to serve you, to help you on your journey of life, and we know that through inspiration it begets invitation. We are supported by you, the listeners, and those that we interview. Anything that you can spare us in donation would be greatly accepted, and we do hope that you enjoy the next show.